In 2019, 110 million passengers passed through a single airport. It's not Dubai, it's not Heathrow, it's Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, Georgia, a place most travelers never plan to visit. And that's the point. More than half of those 110 million people never set foot in the city. They landed, walked between departure gates, and boarded again. Atlanta is not the destination. Atlanta is the machine, the invisible piece that connects hundreds of American cities without anyone noticing. But when a machine spins too fast, it doesn't slow down gradually, it seizes. And when Atlanta seizes, entire American aviation feels the impact within hours. The question nobody wants to answer is simple. Is the busiest airport on the planet approaching a limit it cannot cross? Atlanta has held the title of the world's busiest airport for 27 of the last 28 years. The only exception was 2020, when the pandemic crashed global traffic. In 2025, the airport processed 106 million passengers, maintaining its lead over Dubai in second place with 95 million and Tokyo Haneda in third. The machine behind these numbers has a name: Delta Airlines. The carrier controls approximately 80% of all the airport's capacity. In summer 2025, Delta operated 968 daily flights to 215 destinations from Atlanta, offering 1.1 million seats per week, the largest schedule ever operated by a single carrier from a single hub in commercial aviation history. But the paradox sits exactly here. The same model that transformed Atlanta into the nerve center of American aviation created a dependency that no amount of investment can easily eliminate. When 80% of operations depends on a single carrier and more than half of all passengers exist there only to change planes, any failure multiplies on a continental scale. To understand if Atlanta is approaching a structural ceiling, you need to analyze three dimensions. First, physical limits, the space available to grow within 4,700 acres surrounded by a city. Second, operational fragility, what happens when the system stops. And third, competitive threat, rivals expanding with space Atlanta simply does not possess. What makes Atlanta efficient is also what makes Atlanta vulnerable. The airport functions like an assembly line. Planes land in waves, passengers descend, walk through an underground train between concourses, and board the next connection. The average domestic connection time in Atlanta is among the shortest in the United States. That speed is the currency that sustains the hub. But speed has a cost. Atlanta operates 5 runways, about 200 gates distributed across 7 concourses, and an internal transportation system that moves hundreds of thousands of people daily. During peak hours, the airport operates near the maximum aircraft movement capacity its infrastructure allows. What the passenger doesn't realize is that each additional Delta flight doesn't just compete for a gate, it competes for taxiway space, runway position, baggage system capacity, and a landing window coordinated with the FAA. The second invisible mechanism is geography. Atlanta occupies 4,700 acres, approximately 19 square kilometers. It sounds enormous, but the airport is surrounded by urbanized areas of the southern metropolitan region. Unlike Dallas-Fort Worth, which spans 70 square kilometers, an area larger than the Manhattan Island, Atlanta has nowhere to push its fences. Every square meter of expansion requires demolition, property acquisition, or vertical construction, all slower and more expensive solutions. The third mechanism is financial. The airport generates an estimated economic impact of $35 billion annually for the Atlanta metropolitan region and sustains more than 63,000 direct jobs on site. That scale creates political pressure to maintain growth even when physical infrastructure signals otherwise. The airport cannot simply stop growing, but growing without space is like trying to fill a cup that's already overflowing. On December 17, 2017, Atlanta showed exactly what happens when the machine seizes. An electrical failure struck the airport's underground distribution system, cutting power to all concourses simultaneously. The result? More than 1,400 flights canceled in a single weekend. Thousands of passengers were trapped inside parked aircraft on the taxiway, without air conditioning, without information, without a timeline. The blackout wasn't caused by a storm or an attack. It was a failure at a single point in the electrical network, and because Atlanta functions as Delta's primary hub, the cascading effect spread to dozens of airports across the country within hours. Flights that were supposed to connect in Atlanta never took off from their origins. Delta's entire network was compromised for days. The incident revealed what aviation analysts already knew. When you concentrate that much operation at a single point, system redundancy is not optional, it's existential. But this time, the stakes are considerably higher. 2025 traffic exceeds 2017 traffic by tens of millions of passengers, and Delta operates significantly more daily flights than it did back then. Atlanta's answer is called ATL Next, a capital program estimated at more than $11 billion, designed to modernize and expand the airport without needing to significantly increase its total footprint. The concept is ingenious. Instead of building new concourses from scratch, Atlanta is reconstructing the existing ones from within. The most emblematic project is the expansion of Concourse D, budgeted at $1.4 billion. Originally built in the 1980s for small regional jets, Concourse D was the narrowest of all. The solution found is almost cinematic. Entire modules of the new concourse are built off-site and then physically transported to their final position on rails, like pieces of a giant puzzle. The first module took 90 minutes to move. The last one took only 45. The paradoxical result is that the new Concourse D will have fewer gates, 34 against the previous 40, yet each gate accommodates larger aircraft, raising total capacity from 5,400 to 6,400 simultaneous seats. Fewer doors, more passengers. That's the definition of efficiency under pressure. But the vulnerability of the bet is clear. The entire ATL Next program is being executed with the airport operating at full capacity. Each construction phase temporarily reduces available gates, and if demand grows faster than construction advances, a scenario that FAA projections consider possible, Atlanta could find itself in a bottleneck before even finishing the renovation. While Atlanta rebuilds from within, Dallas-Fort Worth is building outwards, and the scale is staggering. DFW Forward is a $12 billion program that includes the construction of Terminal F, the first new terminal at the airport in nearly 2 decades, with an estimated investment of $4 billion, 31 exclusive gates for American Airlines, expanded capacity for international operations and wide-body aircraft. The first phase opens in 2027. Robert Easom, CEO of American Airlines, publicly stated that with Terminal F, DFW has a clear path to becoming the world's largest airline hub. And the numbers support the ambition. DFW occupies 70 square kilometers, almost 4 times Atlanta's footprint, and projects reaching 100 million passengers by 2030. The structural advantage is brutal and irreversible: physical space. And space is the one thing money cannot buy after the city has already grown around the airport. Atlanta is betting everything on the idea that efficiency can substitute for space, that rebuilding from within is as powerful as expanding outwards, that $11 billion can buy enough time for technology to solve what geography forbids. It's a smart and calculated bet, but it has no plan B. If construction delays, if demand accelerates beyond projections, if another blackout hits the system while half the gates are under renovation, the world's busiest airport discovers in real time where the limit lies. Meanwhile, Dallas isn't waiting. The race between efficiency and space has already begun, and in this competition, time is the only resource neither one can manufacture. If you want to understand the real money moving global aviation, subscribe for more analysis. Until next time.